In this video, I am making what I am calling a rag pinafore for the McCall's 3760 Country Bunny that I have named Blue. Now, to do this, you need to make your own paper pattern. And this is 24 inches long, this way. And it is 7.5 inches wide. And so what you do is you cut a piece of paper that's 24 by 7.5, and then you fold it in half. And you mark in 2¼ inches on this side, 2¼ inches on this side, 2 inches down, and this should be 3 inches across. Now the type of pinafore this is going to be, and this can substitute as a dress if you need to. It's a good way to practice your sewing. We're going to use a Singer Model 20. Now again, I'm going through stages of panic. I just spent about a half an hour looking for apartments, and it's going to be very difficult to find one. And if I end up having to be very, very portable, I'm going to have to forget about the 1588 and even the Spartan, and I may only have a Model 20. So what I have to do before that happens is finish a sweater, finish some socks, get all my fabric cut up into squares so that I can at least be piecing quilts somewhere with a Model 20. But in the meantime, I wanted to make this rag pinafore. Now I'm calling it a rag pinafore because we're not going to do any turning under of seam allowances. We're not finishing anything. And this is an ode to the homeless. Excuse me, an ode to the homeless. Last year I almost became homeless. My quilts are for homeless veterans. So I may end up right along with them. I try not to talk about this, but I can't slip into denial either. Literally, there are no apartments available within like 30 miles, 40 miles either direction. And that's looking for the smallest. There are apartments available, but they're way too big and way too expensive. So we may be back to me and my dog and a rabbit named Blue in my tent up at the State Park Camp Center. So I don't know. So yes, I'm having a slight panic. I had already planned this out, and I'm ironing it. I'm pressing the fabric, and all of a sudden I realized you know, because I'm making plans for the 1588 and zigzagging, and I'm like, what am I thinking? I may not be able to take any of them with me. So I have to knit, and I have to focus on the Model 20 in case that's all I have with me. I do know how to use all the other machines, but I may only be able to use the Model 20. So like I had said before, I opened my big mouth once that wouldn't it be nice if everybody had a Model 20? Well, we're going to find out how nice it is. So 7.5 by 24. And then what I've done is taken chalk and just outlined the pattern from that paper pattern on a piece of fabric. I'm going to cut this out, fold it in half, and cut out the neck area. And it's extremely simple. I'm going to take the Model 20 and I'm going to go around each edge. And similar to how I did the panels for my dog's crate, I'm not going to worry about making them fancy. It really is going to be like a rag pinafore. Now I have small wooden dolls that are about 4 inches tall, and something like this would be wonderful for the Hitty dolls or any hand-carved dolls, because it's putting a dress on them without really focusing on the clothing instead of the carving. When you buy a hand-carved doll, you're buying someone's skill in carving. And yes, you can dress them up, but it's really the carving that you want to show off. So you can make them as long or short as you want, depending on what the legs are like. You could also make something like this for every size doll, depending on the measurements you would need. So once I get this cut out, I'm going to pick out some bright orange thread because it's an orange and green day. And I'm going to go around all the edges with orange chain stitch and make a pinafore for blue. Now I have black ribbon. A lot of my ribbons are packed, but I have some black ribbon out, and the ties on the side are simply going to be black ribbons. Now there it is cut out. Isn't that cute? It's going to be cute. I'm going to, now 7.5 inches wide front and back is going to make it wide enough so that the ties, the ribbon ties that I put here, are really just going to be holding it on her. They're not going to be tight. I could also put extra long ribbon on the front pieces only, like right here and right here on the front, and then wrap it around the bunny and tie it in the front. In fact, that even is a better idea, I think, than 2 separate ties on the side. So I'll be placing ribbon here and at the same position on the right, and I'll wrap it around and tie it in the front. And I'm already working on, I have a similar dress pattern for myself like this, and I'm already working on a full-size pinafore pattern like this because, well, with the rabbit, the reason this is for the rabbit is her head will slip right through this. My pattern, I needed to make a split back for my size, but I can make those into, I have dresses made like that and vests, but I can also make a pinafore like that, a rag pinafore, which is kind of like a more comfortable apron. And, you know, I have lots of gingham, so we'll see how that goes. But this will be for the bunny. And now we head to the Model 20 to just go around all the raw edges with the chain stitch. I'm going to stitch it on the wrong side so that the chain shows up on the front, and then just attach ribbon ties. Now this is a little off topic, but for all my Samsonites and suitcases and everything I have, it may all be in storage, and this may be my toolkit. And I've got double point big needles. I have single point or double point size 6s and size 8s. I have 2 sizes of crochet hooks. I carved these all from my tree. And I mean, I've liked using them, but they're also obviously expendable. So if I lose them, I can just carve another one. I even made jump rope handles, and all I have to do is attach jump rope to them. And this is a backstrap loom. So weaving, jumping, knitting, crocheting. And and knitting Nancy. I made a knitting Nancy, and I've got bobbins to wind floss on. So this is my toolkit. Now, this is an art bin thread. Well, I used to use it for thread, but it's an art bin box. And the Model 20, one of my Model 20s will fit in a similar size lunchbox. So if I truly am on the road, these might even go into a fabric wrap, which will be thinner and easier to pack. And the Model 20 will be in a lunchbox, and altogether that'll be like 4 pounds. The Spartan as a hand crank weighs 25 pounds. And that's the smallest, lightest machine other than a Model 20 or my handheld chain stitchers, which I should do another video on those because they're great. And they're great for a lot of things. But anyway, so this is a little off topic, but this is why I thought, gee, everybody should have a Model 20. If you can't sew it by hand, and then you move to a Model 20, and if you can't do it by a Model 20, you then need a bigger machine, then maybe you don't need to make it right away, is what I'm thinking. Like, I've got to get a pair of jeans made. I have to get 2 sweatshirts made for the dog. I have to finish my bulky sweater, and I need at least 3 or 4 pairs of socks. That I need to finish all of this in case things go bad and a judge only gives me, say, a month to find an apartment and I can't find one. So, you know, somebody came, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were talking about Puerto Rico and emergency kits and stuff like that. And I have water, and I have a backpack, hurricane backpack. I mean, we've always been prepared. But if you think about it, these simple hand-carved fabric tools and a Model 20 should maybe be in everybody's emergency kit. It's something to think about. And if you can squeeze in a country bunny that you can sew pinafores for, it makes it even more fun. This poor thing, I'll probably end up homeless, and I'll be dragging her around everywhere the same way my son did, and all of her feet will wear out. Anyway, I'll get to the sewing in a moment. Now, you'll have to excuse me if I am panicking just a bit. It's just that I have so much I have to finish. I want to get all the fabrics cut up into 5-inch squares because the Model 20 is wonderful for piecing a quilt together. And then as long as I have my hand quilting threads with me, I can hand quilt it. And if the 9 patches are too thick for the Model 20, which they shouldn't be, but if they are, I can just hand sew them together. But I can make sandwich blocks with a front, a back, and a batting with the Model 20. So it's very tempting to keep sewing for the dolls or trying new techniques and stuff like that, but I think what I may have to be doing for the next week or so is probably more knitting than I planned on. And I do have to get a sweatshirt and a pair of jeans sewn, but I'm not sure I can do those on my treadle with the way my foot is. So I did try the heavy-duty denim on the Model 20, and it will go through 1 layer, but it won't go through 2 layers. So those things I have to get done with a big machine. And that was one of the things I had thought about with the brother and the flower foot, was putting flower designs all over the denim before I made them. But I don't think I'll have time to do that. That would be a great way to personalize your jeans, is to use that brother, the low shank flower foot, on well, the brother or any zigzag machine, so you can make different flower shapes. Now, the only other thing I really wanted to get to with the Model 20 was gathering and using tension. There really isn't anything on this item to gather, but that may be something I'm doing in the next week or so. Like I said, I'd like to be able to be so familiar with the Model 20 that whatever I need to make, I can use it to make that, even if it involves hand sewing some parts of the item. Now on this, I'm just going 1/4 inch from the edge all the way around, and then I'll do the same on the neck edge. And I did cut a 24-inch length of 1/4 inch wide ribbon, which I will attach to the front of the pinafore. It doesn't take long at all. Now this would be a nice way to show off some of your favorite fabrics as well. When you have a doll such as a bunny, or any simple doll that can just wear a pinafore, it's a nice way to show off your favorite fabrics. Now you can see it really makes such a pretty chain stitch. So now I'll just go around the neck edge and attach the ribbon. And like I said, for an adult, if you figure out the same pattern only for your own size, even if you make it single layer thickness, or even if you make it 2 layers, and depending on how you would do the neck edge, if you can get it over your head, then it's a very simple apron. Now I plan on washing this and getting the edges to fray. It is an ode to the homeless, and you know, the Model 20 in a sense might be an ode to the homeless. I know I have to keep my 1591 and my 9913, but I can't take those anywhere they might get stolen. So they may be safer in storage. There may be a reason why I bought 6 Model 20s. You know, if one gets pinched, I have another one. Hopefully that won't happen. Now this is, you know, if you've given a young girl a bunny or a simple doll, this has taken me about 10 minutes to do. And I had a boy, you know, my son. Things were always a little more complicated because I would have to always make the doll pants, or we would have to discuss pants, or firemen wear coats and boots. You know, with girls, you can really get away with just making a simple dress, and they're perfectly happy most of the time. So that didn't take long at all, and the orange shows up on the green. It's a little bit of a fall colors. Now I just have to figure out how far down to put the ribbon. You could go around the edges twice if you wanted to, or even 3 times, just to make sure that, you know, as the item frays, and looks like a rag item, that it doesn't fray past the chain stitching. I don't think it will. So I'm going to place this, I'm pretty sure, 5 inches down the ribbon. Let me pause the camera and get the bunny, and I think it's going to be 5 inches down. Okay, so with the Pinafore flat and folded in half, measure down 4 inches, which is right about where this edge is here. And then, instead of sewing it to 2 sides, if you fold the ribbon in half and stitch the center of the ribbon to one side, and then you can just wrap it around the bunny and tie it on the other side. So I'm going to take this, I'll take it off of her, fold it in half, and just stitch the center of the ribbon to one side. And then it has a closure, and there is the pinafore for the bunny. Now there it is, placed 4 inches down in the center of the ribbon, and you probably will have to pin it in place, and I'm just going to run over that with the sewing machine and hold it in place, and it'll be a way to tie it around the bunny's waist. By the way, we're just stitching through 1 layer of the fabric, not 2 of them. So I'm stitching it to the front. I guess I could have stitched it to the back, but we're just going to go through 1 layer. Now I'm going to remove that pin, go back the other direction, and secure it on there. So very simple rag pinafore for a, I guess I'll have to get used to calling them the 20-inch bunny from the McCall's 3760 pattern. Now what I sometimes do is, especially if I end things in the same place like that where I started, I'll tie the 2 threads in a knot, the beginning thread and the ending thread. So you can tie that in a knot if you want, but my stitches are secure. And you can see that's very casually done. Nothing fancy. I'm not sure if I have a doll stand around. So these are times I miss my mother, because she could whip up a pair of socks in minutes, almost. Definitely an afternoon. And I knit slower than that, so it would be nice right now to have her to help me knit some socks. I'm using the Red Heart Super Saver on the socks, and it's working up fairly well. I'll just tie this in a bow. Now I'll go back and I'll put the, there's one, this is the ending, this is the ending loop thread that is holding that whole chain in place. So I will pull that through to the other side. And I don't have a doll stand here right now, but there is a very simple pinafore, and she does look adorable in it. It looks like a dress, even though it's open on the sides and only held in place with a ribbon. You could take that anywhere. And if you're showing off favorite fabrics, you know, what a great way to just change the fabric every day for your moods. So that is a rag Pinafore for the 20-inch McCall's 3760 bunny. And if I don't get to do videos every day like I have been, it's because I'm knitting. And there's a better view of her. I grabbed a doll stand. You see how it looks like a dress even though it's not even closed on the sides? Perfect for bunnies to just imagine, you know, to be a bunny and be able to wear a pinafore and change it every day. So, and don't those two look good together, the 1588 and the Model 20? That is the way Singer used to sell them. They'd sell the Model 20 and for the child, and then, you know, try to make the larger sale of the bigger machine for the mother. So there's Blue's Pinafore, and I hope to be doing videos, but we'll see how quickly I can get fabric cut, socks knit, sweaters made. You know, it's only October and I have to get all these things done.